Okay, so I'm Emily Lenerz, and my student that I interviewed for this project is Julian, and he's about a third generation from Africa. He has grandparents there, and so we're just going to talk about him.
And then I'm Mikaela, and my student is Mingbo, and he's from China. And we kind of broke up our analysis into like the different subcategories that were given out in the rubric. So we'll start with the analysis of learning, which is based on metacognition and strategies. And for Mingbo, this was like basically the only way that he learned was through rethinking about all of his assignments and making sure that he took the certain steps he needed to take to complete every assignment and then reflected on it afterwards until he felt that he was completely satisfied with his project.
And for Julian, what I noticed when I was interviewing him is that his metacognition and learning strategies were a lot more similar to me because he wasn't like a first generation person here, so he never really had to overcome any of the culture or language barriers that someone like Mingbo had. And so that was one of the major differences that we found between the students that we interviewed. Because, like Kayla said, Mingbo was really aware and like reflective of what he needed to learn. And for Julian, he was a lot more similar to like what a majority of our culture does, where he was only like mildly reflective and he didn't really have to do anything extra to learn. And then for our analysis of motivation, Julian was motivated more extrinsically, I guess, because he wanted to prove to his family that their coming to America wasn't just like a waste and it was actually a good decision. And he always said that he could count on like his grandparents to give him inspiration to do better, especially when he was struggling. And he just sort of saw it as like they struggled so that he could have a better life, so he had to give them something in return.
Yeah, whereas Mingbo's level of motivation was completely for himself. He came over here in September to better himself in the scientific fields, and he is the type of person that's constantly seeking out other peers and his teachers to ask questions and get outlines and receive feedback on everything that he's doing to make sure he's doing it right. I mean, even meeting with him was hard. He was in the library until 7 o'clock. Monday through Friday, basically. And then the one thing that I really admired about him was even though he had all these extra struggles, he never gave up on anything. And so I guess we've kind of already stated that the similarities and differences between them is more so on the different side. Mingbo was more so internally motivated to do everything, whereas Julian was more so motivated by making his grandparents and his parents proud and focusing more on the family aspect of it, whereas Mingbo is kind of alone over here. And then for our new thoughts category, the one thing that I noticed about the differences between me and Mingbo specifically was that he overthought everything. Like every assignment he got was really in depth. He planned everything out perfectly so that he would have numerous hours to work on each different thing that he got. I know I've said it before in other video logs how with when he was first writing an essay, he really had no outline or no way to know how to do it, and he wrote it and it was complete, but he wasn't satisfied with the project, so he went and got help from the resource center and other places, whereas for me more so, although I work really hard, it takes a lot more for me to get the same amount of motivation that Mingbo has in order for me to seek out help from other teachers and peers. I don't really do that.
Okay, so I guess one of the things that I realized about myself from doing this project was that in the beginning, it sounds kind of bad, but I was more like indifferent to other cultures, I guess, and I never really like realized how hard they had to work to achieve some of the things that I would think are like so easy. Like for Mingbo, like writing out an essay, like obviously he would have a lot more difficulty like overcoming the whole language thing and like being by himself and not knowing really like what the directions are. And I guess I never thought about how difficult it would be to be in like that kind of situation. Um, and that was just something that I realized that I should probably do. um, and so for implications for teaching, I kind of came up with these two different ones. And the one that I chose was journals, kind of to like reflect on the week's work and what they did throughout the week, or what they could have changed in their work, or what they did, and how different it would be for someone of a different culture to kind of complete the tasks that they did that week.
Yeah, and then for my idea was creating a daily agenda so that I related it to Mingbo's case where he needed to plan everything out and have enough time to complete each task, and the time that it might take her or I to complete the assignment might be completely different for him because he's kind of coming in behind the eight ball a little bit, not understanding the language fully and understanding or being able to even write as fast as we are or comprehend certain simple or tasks we consider to be simple. So if we had a daily agenda for the students, it would help them kind of situate their time appropriately. And that's all we have.
Yeah.
Yay!